so today we are talking about the top 5 things you need to know after your hysterectomy surgery. So I do have a video on the top 5 things you should know before your surgery, so you can check that out. So we're going to talk about what you need to know after. I personally had a hysterectomy in late 2019. Mine also involved many prolapse repairs, and I do have some stories about that if you have prolapse repairs as well. But let's talk about what you need to know after your hysterectomy. So first thing is, please know you will feel normal again. If you're watching this and it's only been a few weeks, or if it's really still 6 weeks out and you don't feel normal, that is okay. It takes time. I'm a physical therapist. I tell all of my patients after any surgery that it can take up to a year for you to feel just completely normal, like you've almost forgotten that you've had surgery. So set that expectation a little bit that you will continue to feel better and feel more like yourself. You'll continue to gain endurance and continue to gain energy, because that can be something a lot of times that we just feel foggy and sluggish. You'll start to understand your body again and new cycles and those kind of things. So just know you will feel normal again, okay? I promise. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, you need to know, depending on what they did during your hysterectomy, where that leaves you hormone-wise. So if you had both of your ovaries taken, then you woke up from surgery in menopause. And I just want to make sure that you're talking to your doctor about that, talking to your surgeon about that. You have found possibly an endocrinologist, someone to talk to about your hormone levels and whether you need HRT and hormone replacement therapy. That is not my expertise. I am not here to tell you whether you need it or not. I am just telling you, you should be talking to someone about it, because our research does tell us that women who have a hysterectomy and have everything removed, so that means both ovaries and your uterus, so if you have those removed, you don't have hormones anymore, research tells us that these women have a higher and earlier incidence of dementia and heart disease and various other conditions. I'm not telling you that to scare you. I'm simply telling you that to understand the important role that hormones play. And sometimes I feel like it's not discussed with women after a hysterectomy. So just find someone to talk to about it. See if that's what you need to do. Now, if you did, like me, I kept one ovary. So I have one ovary, I had the other one removed. Something for you all women to understand and know that I am discovering is that even though I'm not having a period anymore, I still have cycles, and I very much feel those. There are some months, because I'm still ovulating from that one ovary, so there are some months I would swear that I'm going to have a period. I mean, I have cramps and the whole deal. And I don't have a uterus anymore, but I do have cramps and everything, and I don't bleed. But I would swear to you I was going to have a cycle. So that has been interesting to me, and it's okay, because I didn't have surgery to remove that pain necessarily, but it's just been interesting. So either way, I think that's something important to realize, whether you have ovaries or not, that you might need to talk to your doctor about hormone replacement. You might also just understand that you could still have some of those feelings of having a cycle. Okay, so that's the number 2 thing. The number 3 thing, and I am going to give you TMI, you're going to get too much information about this, but this too, I wish so much somebody would have talked to me about this, and I have had many abdominal surgeries. So I knew going in how hard the week after surgery can be for you to have a bowel movement. Stay with me here. If you have never had major surgery, let me tell you, anesthesia and pain medication are big things that cause constipation. Not to mention, they're messing around in there with your organs. They can get a little traumatized, and nothing wants to happen. And if you've had a baby, you know how scary it is to push right after you've had a baby. Same idea if you have an abdominal surgery. So you're combining all of those things, your anesthesia, your pain meds, the idea that it's really scary to push. You're combining all those so that it's very easy to get constipated after surgery. And I will just tell you, from a pain perspective, you want to avoid constipation as much as you can. Sometimes you can't avoid it. I did all the right things and I couldn't avoid it. Sometimes you can't. So that just means stay really hydrated. Ask your doctor. They will probably give you stool softeners. Take them if you need to and they tell you to. Ask about having something like Miralax available. Have someone on call, and just don't be afraid to talk to them, because honestly, 6 days after my surgery, I was in so much pain and I hadn't gone to the bathroom yet. And I talked to them, and I ended up having to do a liquid enema. It was no big deal. It was overnight. I just did it at home. And after that, my pain went down. I can't even tell you how much it went down after that worked itself out. Okay, so again, too much information. I'm sorry, but it's important to know, because we don't talk about these things. And I want you to know that if you're in pain, or if you're confused, or if you're not going to the bathroom, these are really important things to call. You will never be bothering your doctor. You need to call and talk to them. Okay? Okay, I will leave it at that. The next thing to know, number 4, is pelvic floor physical therapy. I think it's really important. This is something I guarantee your surgeon's not going to talk to you about. But we know, again, from research, that women with a hysterectomy have a higher incidence of prolapse. We've taken out the uterus, and so what happens is you have this void now in your abdominal cavity, and it's easier for the other things to fall and for you to get a prolapse. If you see a pelvic floor PT, they're going to help give you exercises and certain things that will help prevent a prolapse. So I want you to start asking your friends, asking around, and seeing if anyone has recommendations for a good women's health pelvic floor physical therapist who does internal work. That's what you need, internal work. Your doctor and your surgeon might even have someone that they like. So find someone, and then typically you can start seeing them after you're done with your pelvic rest phase after surgery. So usually that's like around 6 weeks. Again, ask your doctor. Your doctor might even say, oh, you don't need that. And you say, that's okay, but I'd really like to. I would really like to have it. And they can't say no. It's your insurance that you would need to talk to, okay? But the surgeon can't say no. And if they do, get the referral from another doctor. I'm just telling you, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you have it done. You might only need a couple visits. It's not something you need to do for a long period of time, but it's extremely helpful, okay? So pelvic floor physical therapist, be ready to go when you're allowed to go. And then the last thing is exercise. This is a big one that people come to me with, obviously, the exercise, the pelvic floor PT part. But first off, that also you're going to need to ask your surgeon just what your contraindications are, meaning how long do you have to wait to lift a certain amount of pounds. Generally, they're going to say no lifting of 10 to 20 pounds for a certain amount of time. Okay, so find out that. But typically you can start walking right away, and usually they'll even recommend that because that's a great thing to help with circulation, which helps prevent blood clots after surgery. So it helps with circulation and it helps with digestion, which is really important. We already talked about that. So walking can be huge. I could not walk more than a block for at least a week. I tried, and I would walk a block and come back home because I was done. So you'll build up slowly, okay? But you should be able to start walking fairly soon afterwards. And then I do have a hysterectomy here on YouTube. Through my website, I have a hysterectomy exercises video. These are the exercises I personally started doing it about 3 weeks afterwards that followed all the contraindications and restrictions, so they were safe from my doctor's standpoint. And that was really helpful to me. It involved some stretches, some really light strengthening because I was getting really tight up in here in my shoulders. So I was trying to open that up, and that was really helpful to me. And then I built a program from that. So what I want you to know is that it's important to kind of build things up so that you're not basically doing nothing. What I don't want is that you're doing nothing for those 6 weeks and then you suddenly start doing everything, right? That doesn't make sense. We don't want that. So we want it gradually built up. We want to make sure that we're working the pelvic floor correctly, that we're teaching you breathing so that you can feel your strongest again in a safe way, but also help prevent that prolapse. So those are the things that I really want people to know after a hysterectomy. Don't be afraid to leave the comments and questions below. Watch that after or before hysterectomy video if you haven't yet, but also know that we have lots of exercises and various resources for you. And I wish you the very, very, very best in your healing.